Welcome, everybody, to the Natural Born Hunter podcast brought to you by Mountain Ops. Mountain Ops is a supplement company that specializes in the needs of the hunter. If you need a little more protein in your diet, boom, hit up the Magnum. 3 different sources of protein in there, so it absorbs in your body at different points in time, making it last longer so you can get stronger. You can also check out their Yeti pre-workout, perfect for hitting max lifts, PRs, getting your head in the game, and getting after it. They also have Enduro for those of you who are a little more cardio-based in your workouts, looking to charge hard for long hours at a time. The podcast is also brought to you today by Alaskan Guide Creations, the originators and innovators when it comes to bino harnesses. They're the guys to do it first and do it better, frankly, than everybody else out there. If you're going to dump a bunch of money into getting fantastic, great, expensive binoculars, well, then you better, spend a little bit to protect those. They're super reasonably priced. They come in great camo patterns, and they're a fantastic product. They strap it to your chest, hold them down, fully encased in there, and protect them from all the elements. So check them out. Without further ado, let's fire this puppy up.
Yes, I do
with
remember
the
that.
curve frame.
Yep.
It's still got the curve frame, but it's brand new from the ground up.
I like that Ant's technology when you guys had it. I mean, it seemed like it was smart, just the whole concept of it. So if you reworked it, I mean, I never got to shoot one of those sights, but I had a couple buddies that did. I didn't drop the money at that point in time to get a sight like that.
I like the way he says this. I never got the opportunity to shoot one of those sights.
Phil's very bright.
He's very smooth.
He is.
I like that.
Very bright, very smooth.
Just being honest. Just being honest.
All right. Is there any top secret things you could tell us about the site that we can't discuss on the radio?
Some of the features we talked about, like the knob, like the top knob where you turn it once and it turns the lead screw 9 times. We want to. Not going to share that. I'm just going to say we've got a gearing system to rapidly move it up and down, connected to our direct drive micro adjust. We're just going to keep some of that stuff kind of, I don't want to say secret is the right word, but maybe keep it like
under the hat until the debut.
Yeah, but you can just, like you said, allude that you got some new things in the works with the, how things adjust, or however you want it. We'll let you explain that, right? I mean, we'll just open the door and you can say as much or as little as you want, but yeah, anything you can give would be awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the technology to throw you under the bus with it, so you're lucky.
I figured some of that stuff would be fun to just kind of talk about, but in some areas, if I'm seem like I'm being purposely vague, it's just to kind of wet people's whistle, and we have to be careful so that we can protect our ability to patent it, stuff like that.
All right, cool.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, well, we're going live right now.
We are. What time does it start?
Right now.
All right, let's do it. Is this
Actually,
video or just sound?
Description.
Is this video or sound only?
It's going to be sound streaming live. It'll be video when it's the podcast.
Move into my office here.
Yeah, I'll let you get settled.
The kids are going to be coming home pretty soon, so I got to be careful with these meatheads. Phil, did you get those pronghorn up by you?
Yes. Yeah, we've gotten into some pretty decent ones the last few years.
Oh, here's something cool we can talk about too. Is Eric was a member of the only all bow team at last year's World Turkey Hunting Championships, and they finished in 7th.
Yeah, and the guy called us. He wants us back for that. We got
cool.
There's a lot of press we got too. It was pretty neat.
All right, boys, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Welcome everybody to the first live episode of the Natural Born Hunter podcast. Pretty excited to be live today for the first time. We've got Phil, Big Sexy Mendoza, spinning the ones and twos, and our special guest, Eric Springer, head engineer, co-owner of Copper John and Stanislawski, which I think you would probably consider Stanislawski to be maker of, if not the world's best archery releases, some of the world's best archery releases. You know, they're up there. They're at the top of the heap.
Oh yeah, they're very nice releases.
I shoot one. Phil, are you shooting one yet? Have you
I
officially
actually
switched over?
we got our first shipment. We just started stocking the Stanislawski releases in the shop, and I've been playing with a couple of them. So I'm still in the discovery phase, if you will. But the pull through, I can't remember which one that one's called.
The Element.
The Element.
Yeah.
I like that. That's actually a really nice release. I've gotten a couple shooters into that already, and I'm a hinge guy, so I keep it basic with the hinge. I'm not much of a thumb button guy, but they're nice, man. Clean. They look sleek. They're a sharp looking release for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, sir. Will, which one are you shooting? You shooting a thumb button?
Yeah, I got the thumb, the shoot off.
Yeah.
And actually, I've been like you, toying around with it, also shooting my finger trigger release. And so I went out to the Stanislawski Copper John facility here in upstate New York the other day, and I'm talking to Eric about it. He's asking me, and I'm like, oh, I'm just kind of messing around with it, waiting to take it into competition before I really feel proficient at it. And Eric gives me this look, and he goes, what's that you say? You're either in it 100% or you're not in it at all. And from that moment on, I was like, well, I guess that serves me right. Told my
That's
big
right.
mouth, I guess I'm going to shoot this from here on out. So I got a competition tomorrow, indoor archery tournament. I'm going to go down and shoot in the Binghamton area, and I'm going to take the shoot off with me and shoot that for the whole time.
Nice.
Ooh.
Nice. You went from a wrist strap into one of those, right? Yeah. There's a transition there for sure. It's interesting you bring that up because we're going to go into the hunting market this year. We're actually working out a deal with a big industry name to try and open up the doors to more people to shoot a handheld release aid. It's not really. It's not that there's anything wrong with wrist straps other than using a handheld puts your body in a position to make a better shot, and it extends your range. So we used to grow up thinking that 20 yards is our range. Well, we can jump out to 40, maybe even 50 yards with a bow. Well, I mean, anyone can.
It's the equipment today is gotten so far along that you see guys doing the YouTube videos shooting balloons at 200 plus yards.
Yeah.
And I like to watch those just because can you practice for that, set it up, and just record the money shot? Yeah, but still, there's some guys that are taking it to the extreme, practicing long distance with everything they do, and releases like the a hinge or even I call it a thumb button, but a thumb actuated T-handle type release is their consistency and the adjustability can make for improved shooting. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess why don't we talk a little back tension, because even to me still hanging out with the Iceman as much as I do, and knowing you, back tension is still a little bit mysterious to me. There's still, it feels like I don't know much about shooting a back tension, or I mean, I guess you could say thumb button, but I mean, it's all really activated from the same way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's people say back tension and they it's that thing everyone wants to do, but there is, like as you said, a bunch of mystery about it. And it's not really that difficult. You really, if you think about what a bow and a bow is, you've got your bow hand and your release hand trying to be pulled together out in front of your body by the force of the bow. And you hold them apart with the upper muscles of your back. So a back touching shot is when you come to your full draw, get your anchor point, the release is set up just shy of firing. If that's a hinge release or what people call back touch releases, that moon and the dump are just so close to firing that just a slight little movement sets them off. If it's a thumb button, you've got your thumb on it with just enough pressure to prevent it from firing, but you're so close that a slight little bit more will set it off. And then there's the element style, the pull through style, where you're right on the very edge of what poundage is going to set off, so that when you begin to pull through or bring your shoulder blades together, increase back tension, or whatever your coach kind of describes to you, that slight little change sets it off and it fires. And you're kind of in a balance mode there at that point. You know what I mean by balanced? Well, we were talking a little bit about how your bow arm is just like you'd lean against a wall. You're not holding it rigidly out there, and your elbow's not bent ridiculously. It's your body kind of tells you what that natural pose is supposed to be. You're in that, just held in place with your back muscles, so that when you pull just a little bit harder, it fires. It's like anything else. It just takes a little practice. But if you think back to when you were driving your car, remember when we first started driving a car, you were so excited because you knew you wanted to drive a car. You just knew you had to. So when you start going, that first effort is pretty sloppy. You probably jerked your stop at the stop sign and maybe took a right turn and went way over into the left lane, that type of stuff. But within just a couple of weeks, you're almost an expert. You're driving around smooth and easy, and it's becoming second nature. That's the same thing you want to do with back tension.
So the punching yourself in the face, arrows off the back wall, all that's kind of the initial trial phase.
Hey, it's paying your dues.
We talked about that a little bit though when I was out at the factory. It's like I think people have such a hard time getting into back tension because the first time they ever try back tension is they're in their buddy hands them. It gives them no real instructions, and that's what they do the first time out.
Right. And there's a couple of problems there. First, as Phil said, get hit in the mouth. It leaves a mark. I mean, it's not like you take one step forward and then two steps back when you do it. I mean, you're going back a whole week. It's terrible. So we've done a couple of things to make that easier. We've created a trainer lock system so that the release will just click if it were going to fire, but it doesn't release the string. So you can get comfortable and confident doing it. And if your buddy gives you a release aid, that's set up for his hand and his style. That's not going to be your hand and your style. So you're not going to have to risk getting punched in the mouth. Did I show you that when you were up there?
I don't think you did.
I probably wanted to see you punch yourself in the mouth, actually.
You would be the first person.
There's Phil, and you said you're a back tension guy. I assume you meant hinge?
Yes.
Yeah. On our hinges, which is called the Morex series, there's a pin that goes in through the hinge in such a way that it prevents the hook from releasing. The hook will fall off the moon, and then it just smacks into the pin after it travels about 10 thousandths. So it just gives you a little click. So you can practice that whole idea without worrying about getting hit in the mouth.
Yeah, we the first time I shot one, it was a very interesting moment. Didn't shoot one with the safety, didn't have a whole bunch of direction. It was more along the lines of the whole buddy say, hey, try this out, do it kind of like this. And I'd say that the way that I see the way that I shoot my release and the way that other guys shoot their release, it's one of those things that it proves that whole saying that there's not a right or wrong in archery. There's a consistency, and if you can duplicate something, then you can probably be accurate at it, right? And
absolutely.
And there's some guys that, this is the way you should be doing it, tight back, hard on the back wall, then you start lightening up on your index finger and the release will fire. Okay, well then there's the other guys that are no, you're supposed to actually be squeezing with your back muscles and rotating, creating that additional movement, and it'll fire. But a hinge, like you said, if it's not rotating slightly in position, it's not going to go anywhere. If you keep your release in the same position and you're pushing and pulling, it's not allowing that moon to rotate, it's not going to fire. So it's one of those deals that learning to manipulate. I hunt with a hinge release now too. I've done it for the last I think 4 years, and it's because the 7 years prior to that of shooting one, I've learned to manipulate a release. I'll say it that way. I've learned to manipulate it when I need to get it to go off.
All right.
And the reason I still like to hunt with one is because I, I can be my most accurate with a hinge consistently. I can be very accurate with the index finger, or a thumb button for a couple shots, but then if I get that anxiety going on and I get a little itchy on the trigger, so that with
Yeah,
that hinge, it makes me stay engaged in my shot process with aiming, and yeah, it's learning how to work it for you is key, and like you said, whether you're doing with the training aid, like what you guys offer with that pin that doesn't. I mean, I really hadn't seen too much until I visited you guys at the ATA booth this year and saw all the features on your guys' releases, and I was sold. Like I said, I put in a bigger order than I normally do with target style releases because so many people are intrigued by them. So many people want to be better with their shooting. So many people see that the top target guys shooting those type of releases, and from a business owner standpoint, why shouldn't I have that kind of stuff in stock to sell people?
sure.
So, your guys' stuff, like I said, it's just it looks nice too. So that's the aesthetics of the release is that it was an easy. I mean, it was an easy sell for me, and like I said, we've been putting some new shooters in those at the shop. So I like it, man. I like the releases. I'm sold on that stuff. But you guys have anything? I mean, obviously, you tweak things, you improve things a little bit. But is there anything new on the release end that you guys are working on that you might be able to share?
Yeah, we have two new release dates coming out, and we're doing it in conjunction with a major branded partner.
You can't tell us who that partner is?
I can't mention the word Sydney, Nebraska at all. So,
Got it. Got it.
it's and what it is as Phil just said, there's a lot of people see these top shooters using the T handles, and then they might go to their local store and they see the selection offered for hunting, and it's just in that price range. It's just not very good. They're designed to be inexpensive, but worse, they're not designed to perform. The two don't have to be that far apart, you know. So we spent a couple years working on a lower price point release date that still has that target like feel. And Phil, you were saying that you want a hinge release because they're so smooth, and when they're gone. You don't feel them moving. That's the same thing with a good trigger of any kind, whether it be a hinge or a button or even a rifle. You don't want to feel the travel; it's just gone. And that's what we've got with this new release. And we've done a video. We're not quite complete. Phil, or actually, I was talking with Will about participating in this video in such a way that you take away some of that mystery about shooting with your back, because it doesn't have to be, as you said, it's about consistency. And if you watch people do it, so many people start off in one way and they do it over and over and over again until they become so consistent. All of a sudden, they develop phenomenal accuracy. And it doesn't matter whether they're doing it perfectly right or wrong. It's about consistency. We've created something that we feel we can introduce the hunter and let them transition from the wrist strap into a handheld that will also enhance their ability to shoot an arrow much farther than they have ever thought they could, and provide them that a little bit of instruction how to do it in very simple introductory ways.
So here's a good question for that you can probably explain a little better than I can. When you look at entry level like index finger releases, right? With your normal $30 to $50 I mean, the staple of what you see in the sporting goods stores, what most people hunt with. They buy a bow. Yeah, I'll take one of those, and it's usually a caliper style release that doesn't have a lot of adjustment, has a lot of trigger travel, and then you step up into something, say that whether it's the same technology of like a thumb button or a hook style release where it's a single caliper or like I said, more of a hook style like what you see on um, a sear. I mean, I don't want to get too, but I want to explain to me what the difference in those type of
Sure.
releases are and why one's beneficial to the other.
Well, there's two phases or two answers to that question, two parts, I should say. First, let's go with the trigger itself, whether you're using an index finger, a thumb button, or what have you. You don't want to feel it. It just wants to be gone as soon as you apply a little bit more pressure. And in modern hunting releases, you have to pull that trigger so far that eventually you start feeling it move and slide, and that distracts you. And your mind can only consciously think of one thing at a time. So if you're thinking aim and then have to think trigger, then we start bouncing back and forth, aim trigger, aim trigger, aim trigger. Next thing you know, you're moving around. Whereas if you can just be aiming on the target and that release breaks, I mean, you subconsciously trigger it, but you can't keep pulling smoothly. You follow what I mean by there?
Yeah.
So you have to have a zero travel trigger in order for it to really give you that effect that you're looking for. That is, you're aiming and pow, the release is gone. So the feel of the trigger is just as important as the configuration. So a high-end release aid typically has ledge sears, whereas low ends typically have roller sears. The roller sears require things to move over a period, and you feel them decay. At least that's how most are configured. And then you have the ledge sears, which just break so smoothly, like a fine rifle trigger.
Right.
So the quality of the trigger design is a big part of it. The second one is the setup of your anatomy. If you have a wrist strap, that wrist strap's pulling up behind your hand and kind of bunching your hand. So you're holding the bow back, and then you have to use your index finger to fire it. So now you're involving more muscles than you need to. You follow what I mean by that?
Yep. Yeah.
So if you think back to how do we get to this point of where the industry wide uses an index finger release aid, and it's pretty obvious to me is that we grow up, we watch cartoons, and you see Yosemite Sam with his pistols. Every from the times we were little kids, we shoot something with our index fingers, just like we would a gun. So it made sense for the market to go that way. But now that we've evolved, we've gotten a whole lot more into target archery. We realize that we're not shooting a gun in the sense that, well, that's obvious, but in the case of a gun, you've got a rigid barrel connected to a rigid stock. No matter what you're doing, all you have to do is point that in the right direction and pull the trigger. In the case of a bow, you've got a much different system that you have to hold consistently. In effect, your body needs to become that barrel and stock, and that's pretty tough to do because you got your forearm is nothing but a lever connected at a hinge to your upper arm. It's so you've got to try and balance everything out and make it float in a nice area while you're aiming, while you get that release to go. So holding it with your hand like this, with just your fingers like this around the internet, with your fingers, puts your radius and ulna, which are the bones from your elbow to your wrist, and your hand bones into a nice alignment so that you're literally just hanging there. And now you can preload it and just increase your back tension slightly, and it fires.
Yeah, it's and so tell us. Obviously, the thumb button style releases that you make, or the thumb actuated releases, are that ledge sear, that
Right.
nicer, crisper feeling sear.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where. Yeah, I shot for a long time. I shot the old school caliper that, like you said, you're squeezing and then it's slowly opening, and it can induce a lot of anxiety, and
Right.
especially with archers that develop target panic. I think that we're doing it to ourselves a lot of times with
Mm-hmm.
the type of equipment we're shooting. So I don't know. That's why I was curious about your perspective on how the different style uh, of releases are built, and what all goes into the different levels of because it gets priced that way, right? I
Sure.
mean,
Sure.
But better technology, better parts equals a better piece of equipment.
Well, the technology's probably been around a long time, but the material required is very expensive to make those sears and make them last. Is very expensive stuff. But
What is it? I mean, what's so different? Is it just a hardened type of material? Is it
yeah,
to be able to work with that, it's obviously got to take special equipment and
sure, sure. We actually use a custom grade of steel in ours. It's most similar to 440C, and you get it in the machinable state. So you machine it using CNC machine tools. Then you send it out to be hardened, and then it has to be hardened as a heat treating process. Our particular material, we have it's called a doping process as well during the heat treat, and that's something we do because we really want everything to be perfect. The element you talked about, that's how the material got developed. We worked with a metallurgist to get the element to work as well as it does.
yeah, that's a great release for new shooters or shooters that are you're trying to coach through again target panic or teach them to execute a shot properly. I think that's a great release.
Sure. Yeah, I'm surprised the number of people using it on the line at the Las Vegas shoot last week. It was because I always envisioned it to be a training tool like you're referring to, but it's become a pretty popular mainstay
Yeah,
for people that shoot leagues and whatnot.
I see it quite a bit. So tell us more. I mean,
Hold on,
obviously,
Phil. I got to get in here because there's some things
okay,
I know that
okay,
other people may not know from doing my trip to the factory. So I'm going to
okay.
dig in a little on this. I'm going to have to give Eric
Tell
some
me.
tough love. I'm going to have to give him some tough questions here. We can't just let him off too easy. Uh, this new release, one in particular, Eric and I took a trip to a spring factory. And for those of you who don't know, if you want to buy an American-made release where everything is made and done, not only is it all made and done in America, it's all made and done here in upstate New York, which to me is super impressive because there's not a lot of things these days that are still 100% made, manufactured, machined in the U.S., much less within like an hour radius drive of everything. What we went to the spring factory. Can you tell us about those springs at all?
Sure.
Is there anything being done on this release that may have never been done before in a release, Eric? Anything like that?
Oh yeah, yeah. This is actually our new this new release.
A release that could not be named.
The release that cannot be named, or my partner that can't be mentioned from Nebraska. There's Phil, you talked about the advancements in technology and whatnot, and I don't like to sit still and just repackage the same old stuff. You've
Yeah.
got to continually think and be ready to do better. Your partners certainly are your partners. Your competitors are certainly coming after you, and the market strives for improvement always. I actually enjoy that aspect of it. And this release represents our next generation double seared ledge system. It's got it's new from the ground up. It's got a suspension system. It uses a custom extension spring instead of a compression spring to get more efficiency out of the spring and
What are
less.
all these fancy things? Break it down for us. Break it down.
All right, we've got you mean like components?
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I'm
you've
gonna
got.
reverse engineer this thing in my basement. So break it
Oh
down.
yeah. All right, here we go. You're gonna need a trigger.
Okay,
And you're gonna need a hammer,
got it.
and then you need a hasp. And a hasp holds. You have a hook that holds the string, and then you have a little lever that holds that hook closed.
Hmm.
So there's two components. Then you've got a hammer which will hit that little lever and knock it out of the way of the hook. You've got a trigger which holds the hammer in place to ready to fire.
Okay.
Am I going where you want to go here?
Yeah, I have no idea what any of these things mean, but I can picture them in my head now that I've seen it taken apart.
Get a crayon and I'll describe how you should draw
I like that. We
it.
get some illustrations here.
And we do at Phil actually or Will actually saw me looking at a microscope and things like that. We do inspect ours on a microscopic level so that we get the smoothest. Our sears are hand lapped, hand polished, or what you call hand fit. The bores are ball burnished to size. All my vendors are right here in Central New York. Normally I get along pretty well with them, but I like to be able to get in the car and go over there and inspect them on a moment's notice. Yeah, it's just,
You got to keep them on their toes.
yeah, you got to do that, but more importantly, you got to be passionate about what you do,
Sure.
and I love this stuff.
We took a 40-minute drive to get one little spring. I don't know if you've ever been in a spring factory before, Phil, but it was my first time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've never been.
it's a pretty
It was my,
impressive place, full of machinery that looks like if you got near it, they would kill you. Everything is
it sounds
fast
like
and dangerous.
it's a lot of rhythm to the machines running too. You got to get into the beat there. There's that was my third day in a row there. That company is fantastic. That's one thing I've been very fortunate with. In Central New York, I've been able to find very high quality vendors that will work with me. I mean, in the big scheme of things, I'm kind of a small customer for them, but they spent 3 solid days just to develop that one spring for us.
Is this the fastest release you've ever made?
Yeah, this actually is pretty quick. And in 2006, we came out with what was called the Suprex, and it has an incredible lock time. Meaning, when you moment you fired it to let the string go is so fast. It was significantly faster than any other release they'd out there. And this new one beats it. The Suprex was fast, but it didn't last very long. So uh, this one here beats it and will last forever. This is the fastest release I've ever come up with.
What makes it so fast?
That's 007. Even
All right.
though, I'm just kidding. It's when you're designing something, the mathematics behind it is something uh, you've got to think of beforehand because there's some absolutes. What type of moment does it take to defeat this load and blah blah blah. And so I constantly refine the mathematics before I try and design something. Scribble out the formulas and think how I can reduce that expression and this expression, try and make them faster. Yeah, I'm a bit of a geek that way.
Yeah,
So
I
go
was
ahead, Will.
pretty understanding that you were passionate because not only did we drive 40 minutes to get this spring, but as soon as we get back, he just starts assembling it, and everything is just hand. So there's guys at a table, and they've got all these parts, and they're like elves in Santa's workshop, just assembling these, checking them. They're putting the Loctite on the screws, all that stuff. He sits down next to him, he's grabbing them, just starts assembling it, and it's gonna be. I'm going to put it this way, Phil. I think you're going to want to put a pre-order in.
Yeah. So when are we talk? When is this kind of stuff gonna be available for us
Uh,
to see?
in April. In April was
So
when it be launched.
so you said you have a partner, which we won't name, who happens to maybe be in the state next to where I live. But is it gonna be something that you're gonna offer to all your dealers?
Yes, what we're doing is we're just doing a limited two. We're doing two two releases with them. We're doing one of the high end and one of the uh, transition level. We're calling it, and they each have different functionalities. We'll sell 'em. One is a rollover thumb, but it doesn't have that sloppy feel characterized by that genre. It functions well and you can shoot. It's very shootable. And the other one is obviously a double sear with our next generation. And then of course we've come out with our next generation, so we're not going to just put it out there for the hunting market. We're going to put it out with our own brand. We'll have a full complement of handles going from small, medium, large, extra large, like we do with the Just X. It's got a short neck like the Just X, so it's it's good for hunting. You know, it maximizes your draw length. It's got an open hook or a closed hook. You can put a piece on, make it close to it. But you know, if you're an out west stalker, you walk around and just kind of slip it on your bowstring as you need to and pull back.
Cool.
I probably should send you a picture. Is that what you're saying?
Hey, I'd love to see one, but you know, even more so being able to try one.
Oh, I might
I,
be able to arrange that. I've got a few.
I tried taking it with me after he assembled it because I
Yeah.
know Chuck Cooley is notorious for going in there and stealing prototypes. So I figured, hey, maybe Will Bradley ought to
You
take a
know,
prototype with him.
I told Chuckles one day, he said he's coming up, and he says, "What can I take?" I said, "Whatever you can fit with your pockets." He walked in with cargo pants. I was like, you know, he's got everything on.
What do
So
you think, or Phil? This is kind of a
no,
question for you, being a guy who sees so many newer archers or archers making that transition. What do you think it is that either keeps somebody from making it over to the back tension thumb style release, or maybe intimidates them about it?
I think sometimes it's a price tag. You
Yeah,
know, to be honest, some people they'll come in and this is what we hear. This is what I hear at least half of the time when somebody comes in to buy new equipment, a new archer. Yeah, I want to get a bow, but I don't want to get too crazy price wise. I want to stay kind of in that $400 to $500 price range. And of course we have bows with setups that are in that $400 to $500 price range, but I try to do a good job explaining to them you're getting entry level equipment with a lot of your accessories. So once they realize you get what you pay for with archery, and when you're paying more for something, it's because of the technology or the features. Then it's easy for them to realize, okay, I get it. But when they look at a thumb button type of release and it's 180 to 120 bucks, whatever they happen to be, you know, a lot of times they're like, man, I just spent $500 on my bow. I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna spend half that much just on a release. But the benefit of putting it in their hand and letting them try it, sometimes that's all you need to do because they'll realize it's proof, and they're discovering it as they're trying it and using it. So that's what the benefit of me having more stock of this kind of product in is because shooters can they don't just wonder anymore. They can figure it out real quick.
right. Yeah, I agree with that. There's a lot of sticker shock. The high end release aids, you don't sell that many compared to the hunting release. You know, a hunting release you'll do 100,000 units a year, whereas target release you'll be between 15 and 20. It's not and the the cost of it to produce it is just so much higher. But you know, I think there might be something else there, Phil. You know, the whole idea of how to shoot one, a new style, is pretty intimidating. When you see someone do it, and let's say they've been doing it a certain way for 20 years, and now they want to try something new. Their first experience is probably not going to be as successful as what they're familiar with. So you've got to try and convince them that they want to take that leap of faith to change, and you've got to be prepared to not just sell them the product, but to lead them through becoming successful with it. And that's kind of what we're hoping we're going to accomplish with our next video series is to take away some of that mystery about how to shoot one, and also take away some of the intimidation for it. Because if you go out on online now and how do I shoot a back tension release, some of the stuff you've got to have a near PhD to follow along because it's geared towards that high end enthusiast, the person who just makes archery their passion instead of what the bow hunting market is, that guy that picks up their bow a month before the season and goes out, you know.
But I see more people seeing value in practicing year round with the leagues and the tournaments and seeing your average Joe bow hunter with
Hmm.
um, a high end rest, seeing your average Joe bow hunter with a high end release, and then you go to the local club, you know, and it's just your average bow hunter weekend, and you see the guys that are doing well and they've got their normal bow hunting setup and
Yeah.
they're with the hinge release or a higher end thumb button. So then it's like, and then other people see that they're like, hey, there's something to that. That guy just whipped my butt, and he's got that thing in his hand. What is that thing in his
He's
hand?
got that.
And that's where it's like, there'll people that don't know, they'll come in, hey, I saw this guy shooting this thing and I don't know what it was, but it looked kind of like this, and then you grab one off something like this, that's it, and they're starting to see that.
Yeah.
And so people can, it's not that, I don't want to say they're ignorant in a bad way, it's not that, it's just, but there's ignorance to it because they don't know, they haven't learned it, they haven't been taught it. And like you said, if there's a better A to Z instructional, piece that goes with new type of equipment, then there's so much value there to people. So
Yeah.
you got a video series, you said?
You want to be in it,
Yeah.
Phil?
Yeah.
You need a model?
That's why he's called Big Sexy, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I'm just kidding. I mean a hand model,
Absolutely. You'd be a great hand model. Absolutely.
See?
I get
You
the call
know,
from Eric Monday. We're not going to need you anymore, Will. We actually found another guy we're going to go with.
you know what we could do though? I mean, because Will came over and he was kind of stirring the pot between my brother and I. My brother's my partner. He just kind of stirred that pot a little bit. Well, the end result was we do this fitness challenge in conjunction with some of your sponsors there, and then we'd go out and we'd have a hunt, a challenging mountain-based hunt. You got any suggestions where we might do something like that?
A hunt?
Yeah, kind of got to be
Here's
in
the
a
premise. You
nice
remember
area, cool guys.
So
We
I'm
can
thinking
figure
we
that
grab
out.
him, his brother, Chuck Cooley, and we're going to do uh, I'd say it's more of a Biggest Loser hunting style. Or
Hey,
the Biggest Loser, not a biggest.
there's a lot of public land here that we can figure out where we can go run around and get after it.
But your
So
brother was all about it. He's the
you
one
know,
who his
he should be
brother
on here. He doesn't
Doug,
even
who's his
hunt.
partner, he's gung ho. He loves the idea, right? He's saying he's gonna beat Chuck and Eric with his hands tied behind his back. And Eric's a little more reluctant.
Here's the thing. If it was just about the hunt, fine, let's go. He's never hunted in his life. He's never killed a thing in his life. So he's going to get up there, even if he probably will whoop me on the whole physical part of it there, but he's going to get up. He's going to turn into a shaking mess and throw it over the back or something. But I'm interested. I'll do the whole the fitness thing. But the way you're talking, I mean, I'd be half dead after day one.
Well, that's why we got to get you in shape first.
Round is a shape, my friend.
Okay, then we go to plan B, everything in moderation.
No,
Well, that's why I'm
I'm not
thinking we
kidding.
get you
I like.
guys ready
Let's
for
do it.
you guys will all be masters age for Train to Hunt Pennsylvania, which I just had the dates here. I'll have to pull them up. Maybe we'll rattle those off at the end too. But get you guys ready. I was also trying to get the man, the myth, the legend himself to make a trip out here east for the first inaugural Train to Hunt East Coast. See if
The
he can
East
take
Coast
on the
handle,
beast of
Big
the
Sexy.
East. Yeah, I was
Big
trying to get
Sexy
Big
coming to
Sexy to
the
come
East.
out. Yep,
We'll
I'm
see.
trying to get him.
I'm considering it. I got to look at this. Let me pull up the schedule real quick too, because now that we're talking about competing and hunting and stuff that I mean I enjoy the releases and I like the sights and of course it's all critical components for your bow, right? But at the end of the day, let's talk hunting. Let's figure that stuff out.
Yeah, let's
Let's
talk.
talk.
Let's,
How about turkeys in May?
Hey, so tell us about your turkey endeavors there. What kind of? I mean, I hear you guys get after it a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's May is kind of like a holiday for me. It's a bit of a religion. Our turkey season is the full month of May, and I just love it. Last year, actually, we went down to the World Turkey Hunting Championships. The guy named Bobby Pinson puts us on down in Kansas, and he'd been looking for a bow only team for years, and no one had take him up on it. So I said, yeah, we'll do that. 'Cause I don't use a gun. I just use a bow. And we went down. I got a partner from a turkey call company called Keystone Calls, which is right out of upstate New York as well. So Michael Furchaw and I went down with Nick Ventura, a cameraman. It's a TV event, and we didn't know what to expect. So we brought the full kit. We brought the blinds, every decoy we had, every trick in the book. We get down there, and man, we just did well. We got seventh. We 50 teams. We get
Wow.
seventh with a bow, and we'd missed one. If we hadn't missed that bird, we'd have gotten third, maybe second. That last night we missed it. We're driving home the whole time, just I can't believe we missed. Can't believe we missed. We'd have podiumed. So long story short, it created a bit of a buzz because the event's been going on. I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years, something like that. And so it's always the same players in there. And then a bow only team coming in created a little bit of noise. And the fact that we placed in the top 10 was, had more people going. So this year, he actually called to ask, would you please come back? And I said, well, we're not sure. So he really incentivized us to come back. So we're gonna get featured a little bit in some of the aspects of the show, being bow only, and uh, I love that. I can't wait for it. I'm just gonna have a lot of fun with that. We're gonna drive straight there. On the way back, we'll hunt in Missouri, in Ohio, and Kentucky, maybe Pennsylvania if its season's open by the time we head back. Try and be back in time for our turkey season too.
And that's all turkey on the way back.
Yeah, it's all turkey.
Now, what I have hunted turkey pretty poorly. What's the excitement and draw to you of turkey hunting?
I think for so many years that stupid bird did so much better than I did against me. I lost for years. That now it's kind of like revenge. I just want to go after him. But have you ever had one gobble up close?
No, I'm terrible at turkey hunting. I may be the world's worst turkey hunter.
A young bird, they're exciting. But if you can get an older bird, a 4, 5, 6-year-old bird, come in, they've got a throatiness to their gobble, and when they shake their feathers, they treble their feathers. If they're within, say, 10 yards of you when you do it, you feel it. You feel the vibrations in the air. It's just an awesome, awesome thing to do. So yeah, it's just love it.
Phil, have you done any turkey hunting? I think we lost Phil. I think
I
he's
see
working on
his,
something right now. I see
I
his
see,
shoulder,
I see his shoulder. Right.
but
Let's talk about Phil.
yeah, Phil's probably killed him. He's killed everything. I
Tur-
I just I mean I think I'm gonna try to make it to the World Turkey Hunting Championships this year, but I don't know. I don't know. I guess you don't enjoy something as much when you fail at it every time you try.
yeah, that was my first. I think I hunted turkeys for, it'd be 8 or 9 years before I finally got one. It's 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 like elk hunting, I suppose. Making the calls, being able to make the sounds is one thing, but knowing the language is the next part. And I'm by no means an expert. It's not so much how you call, it's whether or not if you're not a good caller, don't overcall. And even if you're a good caller, don't overcall.
I
My
just want to yell, "Hey, turkeys, come on over here!"
Yeah, and that works real well. Keep doing
Does
that.
it? Does it? Do you think is that how you get seventh place?
Yeah, let me know the area you hunt. There's probably overpopulation.
Yeah,
There's
there is. I guarantee it. I guarantee if you came to where I hunt, you would be impressed by the amount of turkeys and really depressed by the way I hunt them.
You should come on over this spring. Come on up. I mean, we took Chuck Cooley out last year, got him his first bird, and that was a riot. We did everything wrong all morning long, and so we're finally walking out. I mean, we'd have a bird here. We'd go up to try and intercept it. It'd move down to where we were. I mean, we were separated a couple hours. It was just one of those mornings. And finally, got to be late in the day, about 11:30. We said, call it. So we're literally walking out. We'll hear a gobble. And it came running down, came across the field, and came right in. We spent 10 minutes or so working it, and then Chuck put it down. It was awesome. It was awesome on that.
Do you turkey hunt, Phil? Have you ever gone out?
Yeah, so it's turkey hunting in the spring. The last time I went out was before I opened my shop, so it's about 8 years ago. Once we opened the shop, I kind of saved my hunting time for that, August, September time frame.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get out this year, though. I'm going to take my son to Nebraska in April. They've got a youth, I don't know if it's a weekend or a week, but he's only 6, but they don't have an age restriction in Nebraska.
That's
So what are you
awesome.
going to put him on, 410?
Either 410 or 20 gauge. I'll see. I know he can shoot the 410. He's played with, he's my dad's got one, but I'd like him to shoot a 20 gauge if he can, but we'll see. I don't want to knock the kid over either. So I'm gonna get out turkey hunting this year, at least for a weekend, and who knows, I may end up making a habit of it.
New York has a youth hunt.
Do they?
Yeah, the weekend before our regular season opens. I think it's the 25th this year.
What's
24th, 25th.
what are the ages on that?
Well, you have to be 12 to be able to hunt, but you mean any age that you want. Since my son was 4, we've been doing these youth hunts for turkey, deer, and waterfowl when the state does them. And last year we took out 12 kids and 5 parents, of which only 4 kids had ever hunted before. We took the rest of them went out for just to get up close to a bird. We got everyone within 10 yards of a bird and shot 3 birds for that.
Cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Nobody shot each other.
No, we kept
That's
it light.
good. That's good.
No, we went out and we knew in advance how many people we were going to have, so we set up 5. We found 5 locations, and the local farmers around here are really generous with their land for this event for me. Because promoting hunting is something as an industry we don't do very well. We promote the success, but we don't recruit for the fun. And if you got a young kid or a family, they don't really care about the success; they care about the fun.
Yeah.
So we've been, since my son, he's now too old to participate in the youth hunt, and we started it before he was even eligible. We've now had we put almost 100 kids through that little thing we do. Yeah.
What would be your biggest bits of advice for people out there looking to become better at turkey hunting?
Don't overcall. That's the biggest thing. If you don't have to call, don't. I mean, no matter, there are very few people that are able to develop the skill necessary to really talk to a turkey really well. Just don't overcall. Let them know you're there, and then let them wonder why you haven't come over. Because the hen's supposed to go to the tom, and if you give him a little saucy yelp, let him know you're in the area, and then don't go chase him down. He's like any other guy. Hey, what's wrong with my strut? He's coming on over to look for you.
Big Sexy, I think you're going to have some success in the turkey woods this year because Lord knows you got a saucy yelp.
I don't know. I'm a happily married man, Will.
I don't know. You might have to fool that Tom Turkey, though, for the good of your son.
Hey, what happens at the hunting camp stays at hunting camp.
You tell your wife, listen, you're the only one for me, but to get Dominic this turkey, I'm going to have to do some things you might not quite understand.
Yeah, that phrase held true until I'm taking my son to hunting camp. So, yeah, what happens at hunting camp is soon going to come home and be the story of the weekend. So,
Be repeated to everyone.
yes, yeah. Do
Your
you know
wife.
what Dad did?
That's kind of the problem being the superhero in his eyes too, though, isn't it, Phil? The
Yeah.
double-edged sword.
We I can't remember what we were doing. I took him to work with me one day, and I don't remember what happened. The other day we were pushing snow. We got on the ATV. He wanted to come with me. Got him all bundled up. So we're cleaning snow around the shop, and I happened to clip one of the parking stoppers with the end of the blade,
Ooh.
and I almost went flying. Dominic is what kept me from flying over the ATV. Over the top of it is what really happened. Well, I busted the throttle because when I hit and I pushed forward, so yeah, I rigged it up with the rubber band. Good enough. Nobody's hurt. We kept going. What was the first thing out of his mouth when we got home? It wasn't, "Hey, that was kind of cool. Dad almost flipped us over on the four-wheeler." So, it was like, well, I guess I got to make sure I know what I'm doing from now on, because I know what there's no secrets anymore.
Did your wife
Sold
ask
you
if you
out.
were okay? Did your wife ask if you're
No.
okay, Phil?
She asked if he was okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is he
Yeah.
okay? And what did you do to my child?
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's we'll see what happens in turkey camp, because some of the knuckleheads that I go hunting with, they're interesting characters. So it's always a good mix. But I'm not telling you guys anything you probably don't already know with the crowds that you hang around with. I mean, New York. Oh man, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not. Keep my mouth shut. I don't have a kid to rat me out yet.
Oh, I've got a whole bunch of kids that rat me out. We've got our oldest works with me now, and yeah, it's been about 2 months, and he keeps coming home and telling my wife, you know what he did today? You know what he did today? I'm like, kid, shut up.
Yeah. You know how much money Dad spent today?
Oh yeah, yeah. See, my kids like my wife will say, well, I see you got a new so and so. What did that cost? Well, I really needed it for the fall season. And she'll look at me and she'll go, what did that cost? So I'll tell her, and my son will go, no, it costs more than that. I'm like, shh.
That's a
Yeah.
good. That's a good question. What do you when asked about hunting stuff or something of that nature? What do you usually reduce the price by when you tell your wife?
Oh, me?
Yeah,
At least 50%.
50%. How about you,
Oh yeah.
Phil? What's your?
Hey, what she doesn't know doesn't hurt her.
So
So
you just don't.
no, here's how I operate, because when I first got my first debit card, I was swiping that, so everywhere I went, I didn't keep track of what I was spending, and pretty soon it's like, oh crap, I spent that much money. Oh shoot! So then I quickly learned to leave that at home or in my pocket, and I just carry however much cash I can, how much cash I can spend. If it's $50 or 150, that's how much I have in my wallet. So if I'm out and about and that money gets spent, the only person that knows is me. So
That's a
and
good
and
tactic.
and that way, if I spend what I have, well, that's what I had, But I tell you what, the customers in the shop, same thing. The guys will come in and they high end bow, all the gadgets, accessories, bow case, everything else. 1,800, $2,000 later, right? They hand you about $800 or $1,000 in cash. This is what Mama doesn't know that I had, and then they give you the credit card for the balance. And it's like, okay, all right. So it's a very common theme with men and their hunting toys.
We,
How how fast $1,000 can turn into 500?
Oh yeah.
my wife and I, we have this little dance going. That we've actually stopped asking what these cost. She doesn't ask me what the new camo something costs, and I don't ask her about the new boots or the new bag. I just kind of, hey, look what we got.
I don't ask. I never ask. I don't care. But
You said
I
you
always operate on
have
the
a
sliding
child.
scale. Yeah. So I operate on a sliding scale though, because I always get asked. So I operate on that sliding scale where if it's 100, it gets reduced by 100 or under, I reduce it by about 20%.
Yeah.
Over 100, it's getting reduced by about 30 to 40%. Anything over that, I'm gonna hide for a couple months, and then when she asks me, I'm gonna make up a number that I think she'll buy.
You got your first child coming up, right?
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's your whole life's going to change.
Yeah, that's what they tell me. That's what they
Yeah.
tell me.
Yeah, I mean,
Phil's face says it all right now.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. There's no doubt in my mind you'll be all right. But you know,
We
there's
don't
some
want to,
things that you just have to experience.
You're
let's not
saying
spoil their surprise for them.
hit the ground running and keep running.
Oh, you're just going to hit the ground.
Uh, yeah. That I was always, we were told, our first son, high energy, you know, always, very active, very hyper. And they said, oh, yeah, your second one's usually calm and totally different. No. I've got two boys that are almost mirror images. When you put them together and let them play, and they're 4 years difference in age, doesn't matter. They're rolling around, tackling each other. We're just trying to make sure nothing breaks around them when they're playing, and if nothing broke, then we're doing okay. So, but I cut it at two. I mean, and literally, I cut it at two. So there's no more for me. I'm happy there. But Will, good luck to you, and all I'll tell you is get your sleep now if you value your sleep.
I
Uh,
do
it,
value my sleep.
Oh,
and if not, I hope that Melanie is that strong woman that can take care of things at night and let you sleep. If not, if she's like my wife, that every time the baby got up, so did I. So good luck with that. Whatever path you go down, Will. Good luck.
That sounds like terrible pass.
no, it's actually the best. But boy, the first few years, you don't sleep. You really don't. I'll give you one little piece of advice. You know, if you don't ever change a diaper just right, I mean, you do it 90% of how you're supposed to, you'll never have to do it again. They'll give up. Mom will do it every time because you didn't take care of her baby just right. Just
Yeah.
My dad brags about never having to change a diaper. Whenever he does it and Melanie's in the room, I always get the look. And it doesn't take long for her to start looking over at me like, if you think you're going to get away with not changing a diaper, mister,
yeah.
you are dead wrong. And it's that
Well,
steely gaze.
I'm telling you, embrace and nurture your incompetence when it comes to traveling.
I have a
it'll
lot of it.
it'll serve you well. And never say, "Oh, I can do that." Just take that right out of your vocabulary.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know, man. Good luck. I tell you, my oldest son Dominic, he did not sleep through the night until he was 1 years old. 1 year old, and when I mean sleep by the night, he'd fall asleep by 10:30, 11 o'clock, and he was up by 5. And that's he was one before he started doing that. Other than that, he would still get up at least once every night, and it was rough. That's why it took us 4 years to have another one. But we'll see how Will does. You might be a bigger man than me and a smarter man than me, so I hope things go well with you with your child endeavors. But I've got one more question. I know we're probably getting long on time, but getting back into the releases and the sites and stuff. Anything you want to share with us site-wise there, Eric, about maybe anything in particular?
Oh, let me think.
There may or may not be something that you wanted to share with us.
Yeah, we got a new hunting site coming out later this year. Oh, there's the new Target site that's been
That's yeah. Hey,
that's been yeah, it's been a long time coming. Then the next generation ants is going to be launched in just a short couple months. It's you know, target sites were that's actually what we're going to do is make target sites. And uh, when we decided to do it, my partner said, "Hey, do you think we could come up with a hunting site too?" And I said, "Oh, sure." So I just put one together real quickly. What I would like to do if I were making a hunting site. The hunting site, the Dead Nuts, was a huge success, and the ants was successful, just not the success the hunting site was. But so with the company taking off primarily in the hunting site market, we kind of ended up being out of the target sight market within just about 7 or 8 years. And now, but it's always been a passion of mine. So we're going back into it this year. And we've got our new one going, and it's a brand new approach from the ground up. It still retains our ANTS design, which is always normal target sight. Normal means a fancy word for perpendicular. What does it means it keeps the lens always looking at your eye, so you're always on the optical center of the lens. You travel down a curve. But we did that. That'll be coming out soon, and it's pretty slick. It's got a dual drive system. So one knob is directly connected to the lead screw. So when you detent it, move it from one click to the next, you only move it 1.5 thousandths per click. And that at long range shooting, that makes a difference on your point of
Sure.
view. But at the top, we've got a geared system. So it's got a rapid movement and a fine movement all built in. The bearing system is such that it's just not going to come apart. I mean, it won't get loose, it won't get sloppy, and it self compensates for wear over time and whatnot. It just never loosens up. So we'll be looking for that soon.
I really want to see that get turned into a high-end hunting site because I feel like for the Alpha Bow Hunter Challenge or for the Train to Hunt Challenge, that would be perfect.
After I got the notes from our first conversation about that, and that's exactly what we're going to do. It's some of the components will be used in an ultra high-end hunting slider. It'll be
There we go.
and that's actually underway too. That's in
I
the
like
skunk
that.
works. Sitting in
So
the skunk.
are those prototypes going to be ready for elk hunting next year?
September.
Is someone
year?
offering to take me elk hunting with them?
Hey,
We're gonna have a big elk hunting camp.
well,
What's the day? What's the date I'm bringing them out to go elk hunting? When's that?
we'll have to disclose that off the air.
Okay.
I don't have the following of an Aaron Snyder, if you will, but so people don't follow me as I drive up the mountain to see where I go hunting.
Do people do that to him?
Some people do, but let's just say that there's a couple spots that I do know about that I think we'd have a good time at. So, and I'm gonna have to revisit some of those locations just to double check terrain, elevation, that kind of stuff. I want to make sure that we all have a good hunt. We don't want to kill anybody going up and down the mountains.
No, these guys are gonna be
No,
super
no,
beasts by the time they
I'm
come
gonna
out.
be ripped. I'm gonna have like a 9-pack on my belly, not a 6-pack. It's gonna be ripped.
Well, Will,
We'll see.
are you gonna be along there with them, Will?
I can't guarantee I'll be that ripped, but I'll be moving like a bull moose.
I think just a defibrillator and a cold beer in camp is all I need to go up and down the mountain.
Should I prepare to bring some oxygen tanks?
Yes.
No, it's not
Please.
that bad.
Okay.
No, we've got ATVs, don't we?
Phil's gonna be like our Tenzing Norgay, making sure we make it up there.
I got my Tenzing Norgay shirt on.
See that?
I just noticed what your hat, the hush, the fish with the elk antlers on. I just got that.
It took
We
me
had those
forever.
guys on last time,
Yeah.
on our
That
last
is cool.
episode. Yeah,
I like
they're cool guys. So I had to support their movement and purchase a hat and a shirt.
You see
Very nice.
all their hats. They posted a picture of all those hats, and they're all
Ones?
flat brims. As far
No,
as
they're
the eye
not.
can see.
There was a couple that he specifically said. Did you watch the video that they did? Their
No, I'll have
Wednesday
to watch
video.
it. Send me
So
that video.
they walked through the tour, the screen printing, whatever place when he's picking up, and he had a couple
Kurt.
non-flat brim, curved brim hats, and they have some new gear. So I like this one. I like the color. I mean, anybody can wear brown, right? I
Yeah.
can't pull off a red all the time, but I can pull off a brown.
That
The
does look
fact,
good.
just that you have the curved brim. That's all that matters. Those flat
Right.
brims, like I don't know what my son came home with one of them. Will, what is that? I mean, are you a hunter, a skateboarder, what? A hipster? What are you trying to be?
It's letting your dads know that hey, we're a different generation. Somehow Phil escaped into yours. I got a lot of friends like
Wow.
that. They're part of the
That
old
is,
guy crew.
so what you're
This
saying
is
is
for the
it's not like you saying that we're his daddy. We're your daddy. I'm your daddy.
Phil and
No.
I, we got to represent both halves of the audience on this show. So I appeal to that younger, hipper generation. Phil appeals to the soon-to-be in a nursing home generation.
Hey,
Wow.
I'll put your little whippersnappers over my knee and whip. I'll take that role if I need to. I'm not afraid to.
Phil can handle it. But
But I
speaking of hats,
disagree. I kindly disagree with your explanation on the hats being
for old people,
what they are. Yes.
what's your explanation, Phil?
You got to wear a hat the way it's supposed to be worn. Something is wrong with the hat that, I mean, when it's that straight, it comes off the sides of your head. So what is the purpose of the round, the oval shape
Exactly.
in the hat if it doesn't fit all the way around your head? Because when you do this, it comes off right here in the front. So it pops off the corner of your head. So then it doesn't completely hug the head like it should.
Yeah, it's for cooling.
Cooling.
Nah,
Isn't that what the vent back, the mesh back is for?
Extra cooling. I got so much
Oh,
brain power. I'm like a really fancy computer.
your high-end computer,
yeah.
right?
High-end
Need some
computer. A lot of computation
some
going on.
additional venting.
That's right. Need more
You look a
venting.
little bit like a redneck Vanilla Ice, though.
Oh, we've heard it all now.
That's a good one.
We've heard it all.
Damn. I I got nothing on that.
You got nothing. No,
Nothing. I
see?
got nothing. I know when I've been beat. That's why. They say age beats youth every time, right?
I can live with that now.
Speaking of hats, though, Eric, we're gonna need to work on your hats a little bit. I'm not
Are we?
saying they need to be flat, but I'm saying use a little more style wise,
Really?
a little bit of a redesign. You
Yeah,
got
I
hats
agree.
for old men.
We agree. You got a suggestion? Who's going to restyle it for us?
I'm gonna help you.
You going to get your crayons out and hook us up?
Yeah, yeah. They can even go. It'll be style that'll work on flat brim or curved brim.
No flat brim.
All right. Well, here's the thing. Most hats already come flat. So really, if anything, I'm just a purist. I'm keeping
Not.
it as it is.
I've never seen a flat brim in the hunting industry before.
Get used to it. Get used to it. The Hush
Is
Boys, one of them wears flat brim.
is what? I didn't know Hush had a crew. What do they do?
Videos on YouTube. They've got like
Really?
yeah, they have over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Oh, I got to check that out.
You should. They post almost live hunting videos. So when they're out hunting, they cook a meal, they shoot it, they post it. They're on a stalk, they shoot it, they post it, and
Oh, you
they
would tell me
alluded
about these
to
guys.
yeah, and they alluded to at some point there may be some live stuff going out. And we talked about it a little bit that there probably will be a time in hunting where you're watching live multi-camera angled or multi-camera shots being directed live, being streamed over the web.
That is awesome. Now, are they? Is it Hush? Hush?
SH. Yeah, or Hushin. It's one of the other.
Hush, hush. Yeah, I know the
I always
the
get confused with that.
yeah. I think
Should
it's
ask.
hush, but
Okay. Wait a minute.
I'm
Hush
going to
should
take this
update from our
time.
mountain lion hunt.
I'm going to
Hush.
take this time too to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the nice flat brim hat which I am wearing, which is Mountain Ops, creators of the best supplement line. I'm going to say geared towards the hunter athlete. Triple source protein, so you can absorb more of the protein throughout a longer, well, more extended period of time, I'd say. Fantastic products. They just came out with the new Blue Raspberry Yeti, which is fantastic. Phil and I have both had some. I'm a big fan. I like Blue Raspberry, to be honest.
I
Not
do.
like sickening, tasty Blue Raspberry, which some things are, and that's a real turnoff, but not this one. So I recommend you try it. Go out there, check it out. Go to getmountaiноps.com. And for those of you who used to have the complaint of the coupon code will not work on your packages because of my complaints, that's now changed. You can now use the NBH20 code on their packages and get 20% off your purchase. It will not work on items that are already marked down, but it will work on those combo packs. So, boom, there you go. Also, check out Alaskan Guide Creations, creators of the original Bino Pack harness. Fantastic, fantastic product. Um, Keep your binoculars strapped right to your chest. It's a big investment, especially to go out there, knock around, bang up in the woods. Phil wears one, I wear one, uh, which really the testament to me is Phil wears one. I wouldn't use myself as a measuring stick, but I would use Phil. So, enough said there. Also, check out the Championship Bow Hunting page and Championship Bow Hunting podcast. Phil's doing some really great, informative podcasts when it comes to technique, and it's really like almost a online bow hunting podcast school. A lot of cool topics. You get to learn a lot of stuff there. So check them out. And the Train to Hunt events are all out now. They're not a sponsor, but since we do involve with them and we do them, I'm going to give you a real quick rundown right now of the dates I have. So here they are. They are as follows. Reno, Nevada, April 23rd and 24th. Mesa, Arizona, April 30th, May 1st. Bonners Ferry, Idaho, May 14th and 15th. Conway, Arkansas, May 21st to 22nd. Humanclaw, Washington, June 4th to 5th. Eagle, Colorado, also June 4th to 5th. Dallas, Texas, June 11th to 12th. Salt Lake City, Utah, June 11th to 12th. Boise, Idaho, June 18th, 19th. Eugene, Oregon, the July 9th and 10th. Butte, Montana, July 16th, 17th. Ambridge, Pennsylvania, July 16th, 17th. That's where I'll be. Come there. Beast of the East. Let's do it. Casper, Wyoming, July 23rd and 24th. And Nationals will be August 13th and 14th in Salt Lake City, Utah. So I've heard some of those dates may be incorrect. I heard that maybe it's the Colorado one and another one are wrong, but they are correct on the website. So head on over to traintohunt.com. Check those out. If you haven't tried using a Stanislawski release yet, I would highly recommend it. Those in the Metro Denver area, or I guess in Colorado at all. Take the drive on over to Phil's shop, No Limits Archery in Denver, and try one out for yourself. You're gonna be impressed. Anything else, Phil?
Man, I think you covered quite a bit there. I want to say thanks to Eric for coming on and giving us some previews of some exciting things to come from Stan and Copper John. So looking forward to seeing that stuff and maybe going on a hunt.
Me too. And when all these new products come out, I'll make sure we post them and put them out on Instagram and whatnot. So check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or iTunes. We really appreciate when you do that. So without further ado, I guess that's the show. So wake up, chase your dreams, repeat.
Have a good one, all.
Hey, thanks a lot, Eric.